Well. Welcome back to another episode of DeVito Podcast. It's your host, Joe DeVito, me again. Hope you guys have been waiting for this. On today's topic, retirement accounts. Now, as you know, not to brag, I've been investing since I was the age of 16. A little backstory if you're new. I currently love investing. I've tried most of the investing strategies. I've had bonds, treasury bills. I've played options before. Will not go back to that. Those were not the best of times, but I did finish off in the green. I have never sold a call option. I've never sold a put option or a covered secured put or covered secured call, whatever you want to call it. But it does look intriguing. But for the most part today, retirement accounts. So I've had my Roth IRA since I want to say the age of 21. I've been maxing that out every single year and it's going great. Most people, and I don't actually talk about what holdings I have in my Roth IRA. I kind of keep that a little bit more secret, if that makes sense. And, a lot of people are pretty cool with that. A lot of people want to know. And the people I'm pretty cool with know what I have invested in my Roth IRA. But most importantly is the fact that there are highlights for these changes in 2024 for certain types of retirement accounts. So for employees, for example, like myself who works at a company and me participating in my 401k, just one of many retirement accounts, the government is upping the total contribution amount to $23,000 in 2024. Originally this year, it was $22,500. Now that's a pretty, I wouldn't say substantial raise, but that's a pretty good raise up prior. $500, amortized over time can be a lot more. Oh God, excuse me. That was I'm not going to edit that one out. You're going to have to listen to me blow your eardrum out. So the fact that 401ks have been increased to 23,000 up from 22,500, this will take effect in 2024, is great. Now, I don't believe I've ever maxed out my 401k. A lot of people don't. It takes a pretty hefty salary, contributions, bonuses, whatnot, to be able to max out your 401k. And a lot of different companies, they're not the same. These companies will only match up to a certain percentage and however many basically cents on the dollar. And the company I work for, they offer a very generous 401k. Just to give you a little bit of a breakdown, since people don't believe me, I do have screenshots though. My company matches 40 cents on the dollar, 40%, up to 15% of my contribution. So they don't match anything past that. So just to break it down as simple as I can, if I make $100, in my paycheck, and since I'm only able to contribute a max of 15% into my 401k, I'd be able to contribute $15, right, from that $100 of my paycheck, right? And from that $15, my company is going to be matching 40%. So 10% of $15 is $1.50. So 40% would be, what is that, 15, 30, 45, 60. So $6 out of the $15 that I just contributed. So $6 plus 15, if I did that correctly, that should be $21 total contributed to my 401k plan. And that $21 is going to be amortized over time. It's just going to keep growing and growing. And what's nice is there's like a trifecta going on here. My company matches 40 cents on the dollar. And then you have to account for market growth, right? Whatever fund you're invested in, whether it's an S&P fund or a growth fund or more of like a like a value fund where it's like higher dividends but not as much growth because it's a little bit more defensive when the market takes a sell-off. And then you have dividends as well that compound over time and they basically get dripped, basically reinvested back into your portfolio as shares. So there's a trifecta going on, a triangle. you have that 40% match. In my case, I do. Then you have the dividends, and then you have the market growth. So it's just compounding so fast, especially in a bull market. But as I mentioned prior, I have not ever maxed out my 401k, 2250. So a lot of people don't. But every year I have maxed out my Roth IRA, which I think is a gold mine. And that's just my personal opinion. Roth IRA, you have to contribute taxable income, like your job, In the past, I know people have said like, oh, I got a gift for like 10 grand. Can I put 6,500 into it? It's like, well, if the IRS asks you, you maxed out your Roth IRA of 6,500, can you provide, work documentation showing that like a pay or tax statement? If you say, oh no, it's a gift, then you get taxed like a certain percentage just for having that amount in there of the total amount you have in there that you weren't supposed to contribute. And I didn't know about that until my accountant told me. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, I've never done that. But now the limit on annual contributions for a Roth IRA is increasing to $7,000 from $6,500. Now, if I'm not mistaken, $500 when it was originally $6,500, that's a pretty big jump for a Roth IRA. It shows that the government basically wants you to contribute more, just from what I'm taking from it. The government wants you to contribute more to your retirement accounts instead of just, taking everything out and paying a penalty because you're withdrawing early. You want it to grow and compound. But an extra $500 a year will be able to amortize over time, compound very well if you put it in the right holding. Now, I think I have pretty good holdings to be able to, grow over time, reinvest themselves, and then just compound. And of course, I max out my Roth every single year. I used to do it in the past in December. I know that you can contribute to your Roth, for that following year, for that current calendar year after you do taxes. So now I changed it to where, after the end of April when taxes are filed, come May, I usually max out my Roth. I don't wait until the end of the year in December. Because from May to December, especially as we've seen in this current market, prices can fluctuate like crazy. Let's just say you're investing in, everyone knows Apple. Let's just say next year I do taxes at the end of April, and then come May I max out my Roth IRA $7,000 now, because now we're in 2024. I put $7,000 into Apple, and let's just say by then it's trading at $200 a share. Put $7,000 into Apple, and then by the time December rolls around, Apple's $230 a share. Now, if I contributed in December into my Roth IRA $7 grand into Apple, I would have basically had to pay, in my personal opinion, like a premium. If I would have just done it earlier, I would not have to pay technically a premium of $30. So, however, whatever the math works out to be for that. But that's why I'm just trying to get out, as fast as I can. And I've built up a pretty healthy Roth IRA. I like to give it a few more years to really start to see some more substantial growth, but most of my worth is in my brokerage accounts. So, but it's very cool to know that, they're upping the contribution limit for employees, whether you participate in a 401k, 403b, and most 457 plans, as well as, if you don't know, they're called federal government's thrift savings plan. Basically a 401k, if I'm not mistaken. So that's being $23,000 max contribution, up from $2,250, and then the Roth IRA is increasing from $6,500 to $7,000. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, because I max out my Roth every single year. I'm looking forward to it. A 401k is basically like, hey, your base salary is already going to determine pretty much a majority of how much is invested in that 401k. But the sprinkles on top and the little cherry is basically the percentage that your company is going to be matching. So let's just say, I'm making $100 every paycheck. Like I said before, I'm contributing 15%, which I can do max. And then they're matching 40%, which I think was $6. So I'm putting $21 into my 401k every single pay period, and then, account for market growth and dividend reinvestments. And by the end of the year, if you do the math, $21, every pay period, just 24 in a year, because there's 12 months, you get paid twice, twice a month. I think that works itself to be somewhere like the $400 range. But that's just if the market decides not to move one, point up or down, which is obviously never going to happen. And then obviously dividends being paid out. It's not always guaranteed, but majority wise, they're usually almost always paid out. So yeah, you can expect, maybe like a 5 to an 8% return on a given year, dividend reinvestments, which is fantastic. And all of a sudden you're balling. You're just doing it up. I've been contributing to my 401k for literally less than 2 years. February, I think middle of February will be 2 years. And I've already amassed a 401k that could rival people's 401ks where they would look and go, Jesus Christ, like that's a very impressive 401k because I have a very healthy percentage match from my employer. And I'm very blessed, very thankful if you're listening to this. But yeah, this is basically for people like, my age group. If you're in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, it doesn't matter. Like I'm personally going to be taking full advantage of this to the best of my abilities. And that's why I work my butt off as hard as I can, because I'd love to max out everything and just let the market do the rest of the work. Once you get it done, just close the app and you're done. So other than that, that's my plan. For next year, I'm going to be trying to max out my Roth IRA, which obviously I do every single year in March. Be taking advantage of that nice, early, and often, so I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the year. And then regarding my 401k, that's going to be very tentative because, like I said before, a lot of people never fully max out their 401k. They usually maybe get a quarter of the way, maybe half of the way, whatnot. I'm gonna have to play that one by ear. It's just basically up to like, hey, every pay period, you get so much that gets put into that 401k. You can't really do much about it. But luckily, we do have a profit sharing plan to where our bonuses, before all the taxes and everything is taken out, I contribute 15% of that total amount of the bonus into the 401k, and then they match 40% on that 15% contribution. So if I got like, let's just say $1,000 bonus hypothetically, then 15% would be $150, and then 40% of that would be, what was it, like $60? So like $210 total going into my 401k, and then account for dividend growth or dividend reinvestments, and then account for market growth, and you're balling. And we do get bonuses quite a few times throughout the year, so that's amazing. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I feel like I wanted to change it up a little bit. Kind of talk about things that people maybe are not fully aware about. They hear about these things, but they don't really take into account, and they're not really aware about these changes unless you like inquire about them. Usually the IRS doesn't really change max how much you can contribute to your retirement accounts, but it seems like recently they've been upping them. I'm not sure why. Maybe if you have an idea, please let me know. I'd love to hear your input. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Saving is very important. Well-being, financial independence is crucial for a lot of people, especially in my age group. We want to retire someday, or we want to live comfortably and not have to be strapped financially. So, let's start early and often, and let's just keep contributing. And obviously, this is not financial advice. So in that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. And of course, happy investing, stay safe out there, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.